Right now at 6, new federal regulations could spell trouble for some area first responders.
We've got a few clouds to start our day. It is going to be another hot one out there. We'll talk about that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus, voters in Joplin push back on the city's plan to replace Memorial Hall with Memorial Park.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6 a.m. I'm Elise Noe.
And I'm Chris Warner. It is now Tuesday, June the 18th here in the 4 states.
Do you have to look at that?
I did, because I already forgot from an hour ago what day it was.
Are you sure it's not Monday? Because it feels like it's
Boy,
Monday
it was certainly a Monday this morning. When we
Yes.
got the show underway, it was definitely a Monday. But thankfully, it is Tuesday.
Right.
Regardless of how the day may feel, it is still Tuesday. So that's some good news. Unfortunately, though, it's going to be another hot one out there. I mean, we are in June. We're getting into summertime. It's going to heat up. We know how it goes. It just, it stinks. We don't want it to get that hot, but we can't control it. We can only tell you what it's going to do. And we're going to start with this. This is a live look from our camera on top of the Cornell Complex, downtown Joplin. And you can see the sun beginning to rise out there off to the east. Just a few clouds. It looks pretty nice as we get the day underway. It's been on the warm side as well. MoDOT camera, 32nd in range line, looking back to the west. Looking pretty good as well this morning. Future track, we're similar to yesterday as we put it into motion. So this is at noon. We go into the afternoon. We got those little green brief splotches. We have that possibility of an isolated pop-up shower or storm. But again, like yesterday, those chances are honestly less than 5%. We may see the clouds from them. We may see them try to get going. I watched one try to get going yesterday, waiting on the kids to get off the bus from summer school. Right in front of me, watch that cumulus cloud just keep billowing. But it didn't do anything, unfortunately, and that's likely to be the case again today. Again, a mild start, but again, similar to yesterday, too. The further east you go, it's a little cooler. Got some low 70s in some locations. The rest of us, mid and even upper 70s out there. And as we head through today, we're going to be mostly clear to partly cloudy here and there. Sunny skies otherwise and hot, but a little better. Slight improvements in our temperatures. We're looking at a lot more upper 80s for highs out there, but there still could be some low 90s. And that said, it means our heat index value is still up there, still potentially dangerous, 95 to 100. But those of you who make the low 90s may see those heat index values climb into the low 100s. We are going to continue to see at least brief improvements over the next couple of days, and then the heat will return. We'll break down the details in the full forecast a little later. Elise?
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, authorities respond to a shooting last night in Joplin. Joplin police responded to reports of a gunfire near 18th and Annie Baxter in Joplin at about 8:30 yesterday evening. Authorities say at least 2 people were rushed to Joplin hospitals and are suffering gunshot wounds. A few hours later, around 11:05, Joplin SWAT were called to the residence located about 4 blocks southeast from the scene of a shooting that had taken place earlier that evening. Tactical vehicles arrived at the house on West 20th. Witnesses say one white male came out of the house and was taken into custody. Joplin police tell us that no confirmation links the shooting and the male together. And to be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. Well, voters in Oklahoma head to the polls today to cast their ballots in the state's primary election. In Ottawa and Delaware counties, voters will decide the Republican candidate for state offices, including corporation officer and District 1 state senator. There are also some county offices primaries in Delaware County and a tax question in the town of Bernice. Polls open at 7 a.m. and close at 7 p.m. Well, OSHA, the federal agency that sets and enforces standards for workplace conditions, is proposing a new standard titled Emergency Response. If issued, it would replace the existing fire brigade standards. OSHA wants to address a wider range of emergency responders and include standards to protect responders from a variety of occupational hazards, such as requiring no trucks to be more than 15 years old. But the proposal is drawing concerns from the firefighters across the country. They say these regulations could prove to be detrimental, especially to small, rural, and volunteer departments.
The people that are out here doing the job understands that some of this stuff's not going to work. Okay? there's some fire departments can't write a check for $500,000 for a fire truck.
OSHA says they welcome and encourage public comments in response to the proposed rule. They have extended the window for comment until July 22nd. You can learn more about on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, Joplin community members push back after the city council votes to demolish Memorial Hall and build a memorial park in its place. KOAM's Amber Jenkins has more.
Joplin City Council members voted to demolish Memorial Hall to build Memorial Park in its place. Since the council vote, some community members are upset that the vote wasn't open to residents.
Big things like this should not be left up to a handful of individuals to decide. It should go to the public vote.
Landris is a member of the Facebook group called Save the Joplin Memorial Hall. Most of the 500 members want to preserve Memorial Hall as a piece of Joplin history rather than replacing it with a park.
And we're not against, that kind of stuff. It's actually kind of neat to see. You can see all kinds of birds and stuff. But big stuff like this needs to go to a public vote.
Before the council voted to replace Memorial Hall with a park, City Manager Nick Edwards noted that the public did not vote to demolish Memorial Hall when the public voted on a remodeling proposal in April of 2022.
I think it's important to note when we did that election, we never went to the public and said, if you don't vote yes on this, that we'll be forced to tear it down. And so that might have a different impact.
Funding for both the demolition and creation of a new park will be identified after the design process is complete. Reporting in Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
KOAM has reached out to the city of Joplin but has yet to receive a response. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News. The National Park Service is waiving entry fees at all national parks in honor of Juneteenth. Plus, tens of millions of Americans are facing extreme heat advisories. And Chris Warner returns with another look at your Tuesday forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look from Kellogg Lake in Carthage in honor of National Fishing Day. Topping Nation Watch this morning. The National Park Service is waiving entry fees at all national parks on Wednesday in honor of Juneteenth. June 19th is the national holiday celebrating the end of slavery in the U.S. It was on that date in 1865 that the last enslaved peoples in Texas were finally freed. The Emancipation Proclamation was supposed to have taken effect more than 2 years later. Juneteenth officially became a federal holiday in 2021. This year is the first time it will be a free entry day at U.S. national parks. While entry will be free, fees will remain in effect for parking and activities like camping and fishing. Also, parks operated in partnership with outside parties may charge other fees. Boeing's chief executive officer is set to testify before Congress, where he's expected to admit the company is far from perfect. Dave Calhoun will appear before a Senate subcommittee today, and Calhoun will address whistleblower complaints about the company's safety culture. This will be his first appearance before Congress since January's incident when a door plug blew off the side of a MAX 737 jet in mid-flight. In his prepared remarks, Calhoun is expected to tell Senate members while the safety culture is far from perfect, it's moving in the right direction. Well, summer officially starts in 2 days, but already tens of millions of Americans are facing extreme heat advisories, with temperatures expected to hover over 90 degrees all week. More than 22 million Americans are likely to see triple digits. CBS News' Naomi Ruckham is in New York with a look at how some cities are coping with record temperatures.
The dog days of summer are already here as a massive heat wave blankets parts of the country this week.
I looked at the forecast and I saw, all right, it's going to be toasty.
In Chicago, kids and parents beat the heat at the splash pad.
Find something you can do outside that keeps them cool but lets them have fun.
With record temps well above 90 in the Windy City this week, officials are checking in on its unhoused population and giving them information on where they can go to cool off.
We bring water around. If they're not willing to go to the shelter, then we take them to cooling centers.
Further north in Detroit, people sunbathing on the beach were split over the scorching temps.
It is almost unbearable. I'm enjoying it. I like the heat.
Still, health experts warn that the heat can be dangerous, especially for vulnerable populations, such as the elderly, the unhoused, pregnant people, and children. Schools in central Massachusetts abruptly ended the school year early because of the temps, while Boston is taking it day by day.
There are about 10 schools that don't have air conditioning in the building.
In parts of New York, some schools have moved to half days.
It's not fair to the kids or staff to be in there when it's this hot.
With hurricane season also underway, parts of Texas are now preparing for a potential tropical storm system this week. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
The Center for Biological Diversity and other groups have sent a petition to FEMA asking the federal agency to include extreme heat and wildfire smoke as major disasters. For now, FEMA is urging Americans to check on neighbors who may not have had air conditioners, to go somewhere cool if they don't have air conditioners, and to stay hydrated by drinking plenty of water. And that's a look at some of today's top national stories. Here's Chris with a look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've got another hot day across the area for us. A little improvement, but not significant. Skywatch Storm Tracker is clear in our area. A few showers and storms off to our west. Unfortunately, those will not make it here. Got a great view of the sunrise as well from our camera at 7th and Rangeline. Looking great, just a few clouds out there. But again, it is going to be hot. Temperatures climbing into the upper 80s and maybe a few low 90s. Heat index values still up there as well, and at potentially dangerous levels as we go mid-upper 90s, maybe a couple of lower 100-degree readings. We'll have more on your forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
A financial sigh of relief for thousands in Indiana. More than 100,000 people are having their medical debt wiped clean by the United Way of Central Indiana. Raina Revel has the details.
The letter in my hand right now, it reads in part, "You no longer owe your medical debt listed in this letter."
That letter is being sent to 112,000 Hoosiers. The United Neighborhood Center of Indianapolis and United Way of Central Indiana raised $1.7 million to relieve more than $239 million in medical debt.
Our hope is that our neighbors will show up at our centers with a letter in hand saying, "Can you believe this happened? Like, is this real?" It just takes away so much burden for so many families.
By easing the burden of medical debt, these local organizations are not just providing immediate relief.
The sort of second and third order effects of what this will do to generate extra economic activity across central Indiana are huge. And so I think for us, we've never been able to do something at quite this magnitude before.
Medical debt contributes to 2/3 of all bankruptcies filed in the U.S.
90% of Americans have health insurance and more than half still have medical debt.
A second letter will go out to provide additional educational resources to keep families out of debt.
The work isn't going to stop with a one-time gift. It's going to be creating opportunities for information sharing with these beneficiaries so they know where to go to get resources. Come to the community centers, come to your local neighborhood center. They have resources there to help you.
Recipients should get their letters this week. Now here's Chris with a quick look at your forecast.
Yeah, it's going to be another hot one today, although it is a beautiful start to the morning out there. We're going to break down the forecast, some rain chances, and when the heat will return here in just a couple of minutes. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News 621 on this Tuesday morning. We're going to start with the future track as we head into this afternoon. We're going to be mostly clear to partly cloudy out there. And like yesterday, future track showing that possibility of a pop-up shower or storm, but also like yesterday, it's less than a 5% chance of anybody seeing rain, so it's going to be very low. And we may see an isolated shower overnight as well, but again, very low chances of that. I think we're going to remain dry. We may see the clouds for some of those storms try to get going, but again, I think dry conditions are going to be the thing. Now, as we head into tomorrow morning, we are mostly clear to start the day, and we'll see a few more clouds as we head into the afternoon hour. And then we have slightly better chances of at least a few more widespread pop-up showers and storms out there. No severe weather expected, and unfortunately, despite how this looks, not everyone will see rain, but with the daytime heating, we're looking at a better opportunity for a few more of those pop-up storms. And as we lose that daytime heating heading into the evening, we're going to see those storms begin to die out. In between here and there, though, our UV index today is at an 11, which is extreme. Burn time for unprotected skin is less than 10 minutes, so make sure you're taking precautions and limiting your time outdoors or just avoiding the outdoors if possible. We got moderate heat risk across the entire area, so we're talking heat index values 95 to 100 degrees out there. So again, just very slight improvement, and still a couple of major splotches here and there. And the major, just a reminder, is that 100 to 105 degree heat index range. Now Wednesday into Thursday, we're at minor. Still going to be hot, still going to be a bit muggy, but the overall heat risk goes considerably lower, but it is brief. As we head into Friday, the moderate risk begins to return to the area, and by Saturday, we're all in the moderate with major. So we go back to those heat index values, 95 to 100, and in the reds, 100 to 105. So enjoy this brief break while we have it. All right, ways to keep yourself, your pets, and everybody safe as we head into the heat out there. Early morning walks for your pets. Make sure they're indoors otherwise. Kids, they've got to stay hydrated. Water, Pedialyte Pop's a great way to do that. And of course, with some of the dangerous heat, you may just want to keep them inside. They're going to complain. Mine did yesterday. That's a fact, but it's safer for them to be indoors than outdoors, and there's plenty of things they can do inside as long as they're not trying to play baseball in the house. If you do have to be outside working, make sure that you're finding shade, staying hydrated, and taking frequent breaks out there. And of course, the elderly, like children, very susceptible to the heat, so make sure you're checking on them as well. Beautiful shot from our camera, 7th and range line. Just a few clouds out there. Those winds, again, gusting up to 25, and I have a tail. I just now noticed that. It's usually tucked away where you can't see it so well, but not this morning. It's been a Monday. It has been a Monday. 75 in Joplin right now, and we'll see those south winds continue to gust 25, 30 miles an hour as we head through today and then to tonight, and they'll ease up a bit tomorrow. Off to the south and east, low 70s. Everyone else mid and some upper 70s. A few clouds as we get the day underway, low 80s. So again, slight improvements, not significant enough to be noticed. You obviously don't need a jacket by any means, but a little cooler, low 80s to start the day. That's ahead of, again, highs upper 80s for most of us, but we still could see a couple of low 90-degree readings out there, so we're not quite out of the heat. Mostly clear skies, and again, a less than 5% chance of an isolated shower or storm. Mostly clear through the evening and overnight, back into the low 70s. We've got those slightly better pop-up storm chances on our Wednesday. Still upper 80s Thursday, with those heat index values into the low to mid-90s. That's that minor risk zone. But as we head into the weekend, temperatures begin to increase. We go back in the low to mid-90s, putting those heat index values back into the upper 90s, lower 100s out there. But we also see some additional opportunities for a few pop-up storms Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday. That's a check of your forecast, and we'll send it over to Elise with Health Watch.
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, people vaccinated against COVID have a reduced risk of developing long COVID. And that's the finding of a study at Columbia University that found vaccinations also reduce the severity of infections. People with pre-pandemic health conditions, including diabetes, asthma, chronic lung disease, and a history of smoking, were linked to longer recovery times. The new smartphone face screening tool could help paramedics to identify stroke in seconds, which is much quicker than current technologies. Researchers in Australia are using AI to develop new software they believe will save lives and reduce the risk of long-term disability for stroke patients. The technology uses the power of facial expression recognition to detect stroke by analyzing facial symmetry and specific muscle movements. And a new study at Tufts University shows the number of Americans eating poorly remains high. Researchers did find some improvements over the past 20 years, with consumption of nuts, whole grains, and proteins rising. Gains in dietary quality were highest among younger adults. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. We'll be right back. Right now at 6:30, some Baxter Springs, Kansas residents got a lesson on beekeeping.
And we've got a really nice looking start to the day, but it's going to be another hot one out there. We'll look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus, a southeast Kansas town is earning national recognition for its revitalization efforts.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News at 6:29. I'm Elise Noe.
And I'm Chris Warner. It is, that's not Wednesday. Now I'm skipping ahead. It's felt like Monday. It's only Tuesday, but at least it's Tuesday. It's the 18th of June. We're halfway through this year already, and yeah, here we are.
Flying by.
That's it. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one. No. Just kidding. That'd be the strangest morning show if we just came on, greeted you, reminded you what day it was, and then we were done for the day.
It would make our jobs easier, but it probably wouldn't be as fun for you. So
it's like the Wizard of Oz. You get up at noon, start to work at 1, take an hour lunch, and at 2 you're done.
There you go.
Only the world could work that
really
way.
Funny.
Unfortunately, it does not, and many of you have to work outside, so hopefully you've been taking precautions, and I know employers are probably taking precautions on work sites and everything. There's a few more overnight work zones going on instead of those daytime ones. Let's start with a look outside from our camera on the Cornell Complex, downtown Joplin. Just a few clouds out there. Otherwise, looks like a pretty nice start to the day. MoDOT camera 32nd and range line showing ample sunshine and a couple of clouds out there as well. As we take a look at the future track heading into this afternoon, like yesterday, we have a less than 5% chance of a stray pop-up shower or storm, but we could see 1 or 2 out there as a possibility. I know we tried to get some going yesterday, just really didn't see anything, and unfortunately, I think that's going to be the case again for us today. Got some cooler temperatures out to the south and east, 73 Cassville, 72 Monette, and then as you head back up to the north and west, seeing a lot more mid-70s as we get the day underway. The day is going to be hot once again, though. Upper 80s, more of those than 90-degree readings, which is good. It's not going to be a significant or really noticeable difference, but it is going to be a couple of degrees cooler for most of us. It still could be a couple of low 90-degree readings. Mostly clear skies out there, maybe a few extra clouds here and there. South winds also gusting upwards of 25 to 30 miles an hour once again, so do be prepared for those gusty winds across the area as well. Heat index values still high. 95 to 100, and again, some of us may reach the low 100s, so do be taking precautions. We do have some better rain chances on the way, not significantly so, but at least more rain chances on the way, and it's going to heat right back up again, as if this isn't hot enough. We'll break down the details on the full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, we'll see you soon. While many people can't wait to light up fireworks season, the state fire marshal says safety must come first. Even though drought conditions in Missouri have eased, the Division of Fire Safety is urging Missourians to continue to exercise extreme caution if they choose to use consumer fireworks as part of July 4th celebrations. Across the nation, July 4th is not only the busiest day of the year for fireworks, it's the busiest day of the year for fires. It's also a busy day for injuries, and we have a complete list of tips to keep you and your family safe while enjoying fireworks on our website. That's KOAMnewsnow.com. The financial website Wallet Hub released its list of the most patriotic states in America, and you might be surprised where the 4 states landed. While Virginia topped the list overall, Kansas took the top spot in our area, coming in at 14th overall. The Show Me State came in at 22nd, followed by Oklahoma at 38th, and Arkansas came in at number 50. Wallet Hub based its poll on a number of factors, including military enlistees and veterans per state, share of adults who voted in the 2020 presidential election, and AmeriCorps volunteers per capita. You can check out our website for a link to the full list. Well, some Baxter Springs, Kansas residents yesterday got a lesson on beekeeping. The Cherokee County area beekeepers hosted the class at the Johnston Public Library for adults and teens curious about the little pollinators. The intro-level course taught them the basics of caring for a hive and all the benefits that come with it.
To learn to not be afraid of bees, what they can do in their own homes and yards to be more helpful to the environment, maybe not spray quite so many things, and maybe not trim those dandelions the first few weeks that they're out, give those bees a chance to work on those foods.
The USDA says bees are a crucial part of the ecosystem, pollinating crops, trees, and flowers. Well, a southeast Kansas town is earning national recognition for its revitalization efforts. Every year, the Smithsonian Magazine puts out its list of the best small towns to visit. And this year, Humboldt, Kansas made the cut. With a population of just over 1,800, the magazine credits the organization A Bolder Humboldt with redeveloping the community as a hotspot for entrepreneurs and tourists.
The school district is really good here. So I do a swim team here in Humboldt and it's really cool. So living in Humboldt, really good.
It's just a nice, peaceful town. Just everybody knows everybody, and whenever you don't know somebody, you just get to know them.
You can find the full list on our website. That's KOAMnewsnow.com. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Exploration travel is becoming more popular as tourists seek out destinations that most have not visited. And we have another hot and sunny day today. We'll have what to expect with Chris Warner in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look from Kellogg Lake in Carthage in honor of National Fishing Day. In Consumer Watch this morning, exploration travel is becoming more popular after the pandemic as tourists seek out destinations that most have not visited. One emerging market is Saudi Arabia, which only opened to tourism 5 years ago. It's now the fastest growing tourism destination in the G20, according to the United Nations. CBS News correspondent Wendy Gillette visited the northwest part of the country where she found a trip of exhilaration.
Vacation often includes a hike, and this one was billed as a climb up the sandstone cliffs at Alula Adventure Hub in Saudi Arabia. That meant a crash course in navigating a safety line, then clambering up a much steeper than expected path. All to reach the top. Oh my goodness. Where another challenge awaited.
2, 1, boom!
A free fall on a rope swing from almost 28 stories high. With feet back on solid ground, it was time to take a vintage Land Rover safari at sunset to view the nearby rock formations at the archaeological site Hegra, prized for its more than 2,000-year-old drawings and 70-foot-high ancient tombs. The aptly named Elephant Rock is illuminated, a night sanctuary in the desert.
Tourists here also typically visit the Old Town, which dates back to the 12th century, once on a trading route for incense and now filled with restaurants and a marketplace.
Incense is once again burning in the Old Town at Dar Tentora Hotel, which features cave rooms that recreate the past.
The Old Town looks like a castle.
Guide Amal Al-Johani, known here as a Rawi or storyteller, gives tours of the original restored mud brick homes. She points to progress in Saudi Arabia.
It's a change for us in a good way.
It's still mocktails only at restaurants. The country bans alcohol. But the tourism plan is expanding, with the government planning to invest a record-breaking $800 billion. The event's venue, Moriah, the largest mirrored building in the world, is part of the recent development. It's right next to Banyan Tree Alula, where we stayed for a special rate, known for its rock pool and tented villas matching the landscape.
Just look around. I believe the angle behind me, tells it all.
Philadelphia area travel advisor Joshua Bush visited the city during a week-long trip to Saudi Arabia.
A lot of the preconceptions that I had going into the country were very much dispelled.
His agency's bookings of off-the-beaten-path journeys have grown as much as 40% since the pandemic, when extended time at home brought yearnings for adventure. Wendy Gillette, CBS News, Alula, Saudi Arabia.
Alula attracted more than 260,000 visitors last year, but Saudi tourism officials hope that will grow to 2 million over the next decade. The IRS has announced a new rule aimed at closing a major tax loophole for wealthy taxpayers. The rule would essentially end a partnership basis shifting, which is when a business or person can move assets among a series of related parties to avoid paying taxes. The IRS says ending the loophole could raise more than $50 billion over the next decade. The Federal Trade Commission is accusing software maker Adobe of deceiving customers in a new lawsuit. The FTC claims the maker of Acrobat, Photoshop, and other popular editing tools pushes customers towards pricey subscription plans while hiding early termination fees. Adobe says its transparency with the terms and conditions of its subscription plans, adding that the company will dispute the allegations in court. And more Americans are phasing out landline phones in favor of cell phones. A newly released CDC survey done in 2023 shows that less than 1 in 4 Americans still have landlines. In fact, 76% of Americans said they are wireless-only households, up from 68% 2 years prior. 22% of adults said they had both a cell phone and a landline at home. Well, if you own a home, you've likely noticed the cost of living has spiked. A recent study by Bankrate.com found the cost of owning and maintaining a home has jumped 26% in the last 4 years. Jen Sullivan looks at what homeowners can do to help lower their monthly bills.
It's been a long-time American dream, owning a home. But the high cost of ownership is making that dream unaffordable for many. Even as inflation overall cooled slightly last month, home expenses continue to rise. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, shelter expenses, which measures home costs, rose for a 4th month in a row and are up 5.4% year over year.
The homeowning population of the U.S. definitely skews towards more affluent Americans.
Jeff Ostrowski is an analyst at Bankrate.com. The company released a survey looking at hidden home ownership fees and found the yearly cost for a typical single-family home has topped $18,000. That's 26% higher than 4 years ago. To get to that number, they looked at the average costs of property taxes, homeowners insurance, home maintenance costs, electricity, and internet and cable bills. They found the average American is now paying an additional $1,510 per month on top of their mortgage payment.
As a longtime homeowner myself, I constantly complain about how much I'm spending on repairs, plumbers, electricians.
To help lower those costs, Ostrowski says homeowners should compare different home insurance rates to get the best deal. He also suggests buying a home that was built more recently.
If you're buying an older home that's 50, 60 years old, even if it's been inspected, you're going to be constantly running into new repairs.
The bad news is, experts say these high home costs aren't likely to go away anytime soon. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
And that's it for Consumer Watch. Now here's Chris with another look at your forecast.
Yeah, we're starting with this, a live look from our camera on the Cornell Complex downtown Joplin. Looking pretty good. Just a few clouds here and there. MoDOT camera 32nd and range line looking back to the west, showing us that plentiful sunshine as well as we're heading for another hot day. Quick look at the future track into this afternoon and evening hours will be mostly clear to partly cloudy, and it's showing that less than 5% chance of, again, another pop-up shower or storm out there. Temperatures a little better, a lot more upper 80s and maybe just a couple of low 90s as we head through the afternoon and evening. It leads to those dangerous heat index values, 95 to 100 for most of us, and maybe a couple of lower 100-degree readings. Cool start out to the southeast again as we've got some low 70s, the rest of us hanging out in the mid 70s. And as we head through today, again, another hot one, upper 80s, mostly clear skies, and again, maybe a couple of low 90-degree readings. Also going to be windy again today, south breeze gusting upwards of 30 miles an hour. We're having another look at your forecast, including some rain chances and when the heat returns here in just a moment. We'll also celebrate birthdays and anniversaries after this break, but first, let's see what's happening on CBS Mornings.
I'm Tony DeCopel. Coming up on CBS Mornings, Gale's exclusive sit-down with billionaire philanthropist Melinda French Gates, sharing why she decided to leave the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation after building it up more than 2 decades ago. That is coming up on CBS Mornings.
Time for some Monday birthdays, Tuesday. My gosh, what is today? Tuesday birthdays here in the 4 states. We're going to start in Pittsburgh with Allie Jackson celebrating birthday number 2. Happy birthday, Allie.
And over in Chitopa, happy 5th birthday to Bo Castle. It says here that he loves to farm. Happy birthday, Bo.
And in Columbus, Heaven Miller celebrating birthday number 10. A very happy birthday to you.
And a happy birthday to Sean Leggett, who's turning 50 today, and a nice little throwback photo up there as well.
It's either that or he hasn't aged a day.
Well, then you look great, Sean.
Could be either way. You never know sometimes. And we've got Charlie Shearhart celebrating birthday number 65. Happy birthday, Charlie.
And over in Chenouta, happy 80th birthday to Glenda McCarty.
And in Oswego, Mason and Haley Mills celebrating their 2nd year of wedded bliss. A very happy anniversary to the Mills family.
Also celebrating an anniversary over in Columbus is Ted and Linda Garrison. Happy anniversary.
And then our very own Janet Holler celebrating another year wiser. Janet is one of our traffic and sales assistants. Again, one of the many people responsible for keeping us on the air here. So we thank you for everything that you do for us and wish you a very happy birthday.
Absolutely. We also have someone else from KOAM, one of our very own. Vance Lewis and his wife Allison Lewis are celebrating their 36th anniversary, and Vance is just great.
He is fantastic. He's a giant teddy bear. We love Vance and Allison. I'm sure that you love him too, and I'm sure you're just as fan. You're probably even more fantastic. And Vance and Allison, by the way, you hear us talk about Trevor every often on our morning show. He's out right now getting us those shots for fishing day. He's their son, and he's a fantastic young man, and I can absolutely see why. Well, that was another fantastic list of birthdays and anniversaries. Elise, if folks want to celebrate with us, what do they need to do?
Yes, go ahead and submit your birthdays and anniversaries to birthdays@KOAMnewsnow.com. Be sure to include those photos and messages, and to, of course, meet the deadline that you see there at the bottom of your screen.
Absolutely. Now let's take a look at the future track. As we head to this afternoon, again, mostly clear to partly cloudy skies. Then we've got that less than 5% chance of a stray pop-up shower or storm as we head into the afternoon. Similar to yesterday, we may end up seeing some of those cumulus clouds try to get going, but I do think we're going to remain dry through most of the day. And again, maybe a stray shower overnight, but again, that's still a less than 5% chance. And it's going to be hot. We'll talk about the heat here in just a moment. Now, Wednesday, we start off mostly clear. We'll see a few additional clouds by noon, and then as we head later into the afternoon and evening, daytime heating looks to work a little more in our favor. We're looking at better opportunities for a few more of those pop-up storms. Now, there's still going to be pop-up storms, so not everyone will see rain, and they really won't do a lot of moving, but at least some of us will get a little relief out there, a little bit of rain that we do need across the area because we've kind of stopped seeing it. And we need it, just not in the form of severe weather or flooding. The good news is if we see any storms at this point, not anticipating any severe weather, and then we'll start to dry out again Thursday ahead of the heat returning. Our UV index today is an 11. That is the extreme level, so burn time for unprotected skin is less than 10 minutes. So make sure you're taking precautions out there and limiting your time outdoors. Our heat index values today, so we have that moderate heat risk across the area, a couple of little major spots. So the moderate is those heat index values 95 to 100 degrees, and the major is 100 to 105. Now, as we head into tomorrow and Thursday, thanks to some of those pop-up storms, some of those clouds, it's going to ease up a bit. We're going into a minor heat risk across most of the area for Wednesday and Thursday, but as we head into the weekend, the moderate begins to return by Friday, and by Saturday, we've got moderate to major across the entire area. So you got to make sure that you are keeping yourself, your pets, your kids, everybody safe in the heat. And some quick tips on how to do that again with your pets. Make sure you're doing early morning walks, keeping them inside. Your kids, try and keep them inside if you can. At least limit their time outdoors. Make sure they're hydrated. Water Pedialyte pops. If you got to be outside, make sure you're finding shade, taking breaks, staying hydrated yourself, and of course make sure you're checking on the elderly because, like kids, very susceptible to this potentially dangerous heat across the area. We'll have another look at your forecast and the news you need to know in just a moment. And when we switch over to Fox 14 at 7 a.m., we're going to hear how a car show is aiming to help those who are battling Alzheimer's and dementia.
And here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Excuse me. Joplin police responded to reports of gunfire near 18th and Annie Baxter in Joplin at about 8:30 yesterday evening. Joplin police confirmed that at least 2 people were rushed to Joplin Hospital suffering gunshot wounds. And Joplin City Council members voted to demolish Memorial Hall to build Memorial Hall Park, but some community members are upset that the vote wasn't open to residents. A large group of residents want to preserve Memorial Hall as a piece of Joplin history rather than replacing it with a park. Well, voters in Oklahoma head to the polls today to cast their ballots in the state's primary election. In Ottawa and Delaware counties, voters will decide the Republican candidate for state offices, including corporation officer and District 1 state senator. Polls open at 7 a.m. and close at 7 p.m. And that's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
And it's going to be a hot one today. Upper 80s across the area. More of those, maybe a couple of low 90-degree readings. Mostly clear skies, south breeze gusting upwards of 30. Mostly clear through the evening and overnight, back down to the low 70s. Then we've got those pop-up storm chances tomorrow, and they'll return Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday. We'll get a break from the heat tomorrow and Thursday, and then it will heat right back up, low mid-90s into the weekend. Heat index values could exceed 100.
To say 88 degrees is a break.
Yeah, that's
a little
sad
funny,
thing.
but it's summer.
It is,
so.
yeah. It is summer. 88's a bit of a break.
Well, coming up today at noon, we're making classic fried chicken in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
And your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. This morning, Jasmine Kyle from the SEK Humane Society joins us in the studio to talk about their 51 years of service celebration.
And Charlene Patton also back in the studio with another incredible recipe. However, that's going to wrap it up for us for now. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
And we'll see you today at noon.